What is up? So this is gonna be a trade recap for today's action on ES. I took two trades, one during the morning session and one during the afternoon session. Yes, background is cool as fuck. You don't have to tell me. But yeah, let's get right into the trade real quick. It was very interesting because we were having some selling pressure over the past few days. Obviously, we have been trending down. Um, so I was more inclined to taking shorts. Now the problem is, I was also not a problem. I was just also open to taking a long if I had the right setup with the right confirmation, and that is what happened. So we were obviously rejecting lower over the past few days. We had this area. Would have loved for price to pull back into this break these pre-market highs and then get an opportunity to go short, but we never got that. Now, something that I noticed at the open was that we were breaking these lows that occurred during the overnight session, and we were seeing a lot of buying pressure after the open at around 940. So what happened was after we broke structure to the upside on the 1 minute, as you can see here, I started looking for an opportunity to go long after the sweep of liquidity, and I pulled on my Fibonacci retracement tools, and then found this fair value gap on the 2 minute that aligned with this golden pocket, if you will. But yeah, my fill was 67, and my target was going to be this 15-minute supply zone from the one that we rejected from during this move. Now, this should have been my first target, this mini 1 minute supply zone. This would have been my second target, and then my third target should have been this 3 hour at 96 and 3/4. But obviously, I never realized that, and then my target was never hit. Another thing was that I do not trade news. I actually thought today was Tuesday, so I was in this trade, and then at 10 a.m. I see this price action, and I was like what? And then I realized, oh, it's Wednesday, and we have news at 9:45 and 10. So that is what happened. And then yeah, pretty much just got stopped on this one right here because of the news. But yeah, it would have been nice to have this target first to take the profits and then set the stop loss to break even. That would have been a better scenario, of course. So let me just remove this to go over the second trade. Now to make it short and summarize it, I was pretty much measuring this move with the Fibonacci tool just to see what would align, just to find confluences to trade. So I found this 15-minute supply zone that aligned with this 50% mark on the move, and then which also lined up with this 15-minute slash 5 minute highs. So I was like, all right, if we can sweep these highs, touch supply, reject, and the 50% as well, I think I have good confirmation to go short with a 1 minute break of structure to the downside. So that's what I was looking for. So obviously, if you go to the 1 minute, we got that as you can see here, but I missed this entry. I never got that because this would have been my first take profit, and then I would have targeted this level right, this accumulation area right here, and then this demand zone right here, maybe for a fourth low of day. So would have been a nice trade, but obviously I missed this entry, like I said, and then from there I was like, all right, I have all these confluences, like we're hitting 50% of the retracement for today's move, and then we're also kind of like sweeping these highs. Well, kind of not. We were sweeping these highs, and then we're also pulling back into the supply zone and rejecting the. So that's how much 3, and then we also had a 1 minute break of structure, and I think even a 5 minute, so that's 4. And then from there, I would have added a fair value gap 5, and then a fair value gap that aligned maybe with like a 50% or 61.8% retracement on this little move right here. So that's would have been like 5 or 6 confluences right there. And yeah, I found this fair value gap at 67. So that's where I got failed to go short, and then my stop loss was at 71, one tick above the high. And as you can see, I covered here. But I want to go over two things that would have signaled to maybe avoid or de-risk this trade. So first thing first is on the 50-minute. We broke structure to the upside exactly above these highs. It would have been a completely different story if, okay, maybe we sweep these highs, but we don't close above them on the 15-minute and break structure to the upside because that's showing buying pressure. So what would have been better was that maybe on a 15-minute, like, yeah, we tap into the 50% into the supply zone. We sweep these highs, but we close below these highs. Now, the fact that we closed above them was just showing a little bit more of buying pressure. It should have been like, be cautious type of thing. And then the second one was like, usually I don't pay a lot of attention to this because I've noticed that when I have a fair value gap entry, like it's weird because it's kind of like you're getting a sniper entry where, you're not getting short like here, you're waiting for like price to pull back into this area and you're like, kind of like have to act fast, set your limit to get a good entry instead of like, oh, let me wait for price to reject again. Like, no, like, it's better. You get such good risk reward ratios when you just act fast on fair value gaps. Now, sometimes the downside is that, price can just disrespect the fair value gap and, that shows buying pressure. And that is what happened. So we have a 5-minute demand zone from this accumulation area here and we pull back into it perfectly and we showed a lot of buying pressure. So that mixed with this 15-minute break of structure, that 100% should have told me like de-risk this trade or avoid it, because we're seeing buying pressure even though we had this little sell-off right here. So that is pretty much it. That was a trade. Like, I just looked for the fair value gap, I entered, I covered, and then yeah. So let me see if I can go over the fills. Actually, before I go over the fills, I just want to go over like some analysis, sort of like what I focus on. So one thing that I'm kind of like learning about and using more is Fibonacci retracement tool. Just understanding if price is in a discount, and taking advantage of that 61.8% and the OTE, which is an optimal trade entry. If you guys know ICT, that's that, I think 78.6%. So something that I want to go over, which was I didn't notice until after close. If we measure this move, we hit exactly this golden pocket right here. But it's kind of like confusing because you measure this, but then I also kind of like want to measure this, maybe from here, or I would do it from here, honestly. I want to measure this to see where price wants to go, like from this move, because obviously we are going up, but then on the higher time frames we're going shorter. I mean, we're going lower, or like since the direction since this move, and both of them, like if you measure from here, like you see price needs a retracement, maybe into equilibrium, like we did here, and then on top of that, if you take a look at this one, price also needs a retracement because we hit this golden pocket. So that would have just added extra confirmation to the first trade that I took on ES. Like, maybe would have de-risked myself even though it was before news, so I probably would have avoided it. But yeah, I mean that's something that I want to use, just like have that extra confirmation and understand higher time frame context as well. So like you can see, like we have B side here, we sweep it, we hit this 61.8%, we start retracing. So, so things that make sense. So like maybe here let me measure this whole move from like here, for example. Actually, no, let's measure it from here, because so like maybe we have this, maybe we'll pull back into a fair value gap, maybe aligned with the optimal trade entry and those kind of things. So yeah, that's something that I'm gonna be using more often. But yeah, obviously after this selling pressure today, the plan is and will be looking for shorts, or at least being more inclined to taking shorts, and just taking longs like if I have, the right setup with the right numbers and the right confluences. So yeah, that was pretty much it. And I'll be sort of like doing these trade recaps